Judge declares a mistrial, y'all, in the Karen Reed case. Yes, yes, yeah, I apologize for that, y'all. But another mistrial of her husband, police officer. What would happen next, y'all? Let's listen to this.
The judge declares a mistrial in Karen Reed's murder trial. A jury of 6 women and 6 men say they were deeply divided and simply could not agree on a verdict. Thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Lisa Hughes.
And I'm David Wade. The other big headline here is that the DA's office says it will retry this case. The jurors spent 27 hours over 5 days considering the charges. The most serious, of course, second-degree murder. It was also a manslaughter while operating under the influence, and for that count, jurors could have picked 2 less serious charges, involuntary manslaughter or motor vehicle homicide. And the third count was leaving the scene of bodily injury or death. But again, they could not come to a unanimous decision. We have team coverage tonight. We begin with WBZ's Christina Rex, who was in the courtroom for today's decision. Christina?
Yeah, David, so many weeks of this trial. That's part of what
Declaring a mistrial in this case.
that statement from the judge bringing strong emotion from the mother of John O'Keefe. The O'Keefe family, as well as the Reeds, will have to sit through another trial after the 12-person jury of 6 men and 6 women was unable to reach a unanimous decision in this one.
The deep division is not due to a lack of effort or diligence, but rather a sincere adherence to our individual principles and moral convictions. To continue to deliberate would be futile and only serve to force us to compromise these deeply held beliefs.
The Norfolk County District Attorney's Office releasing this statement immediately after, saying we thank the O'Keefe family for their commitment and dedication to this long process. They maintained sight of the true core of this case to find justice for John O'Keefe, saying the Commonwealth intends to retry this case.
The Commonwealth did their worst. Guess what? They failed. They failed miserably, and they'll continue to fail.
10 weeks and 74 witnesses and no closure for those involved. Karen Reed and her lawyers hugged her family before they exited court, just briefly addressing reporters outside.
I want to send a message to all of her supporters out there. Your support was invaluable. Touched, and we ask for your continued support. I'm not from Texas, like my colleague here. I'm a Boston kid, but I'll repeat what he said, which is, we ain't got no way.
Discussing Sally Port video that you watched several weeks ago. I want to make sure I'm clear about this. You indicated that the video that you watched was proper in terms of orientation, but the timestamp on the bottom had been inverted, correct?
Yes, that's the way it appeared.
And you recall that being a yellow chyron underneath.
To the best of,
In other words, the font color.
to the best of my memory, yes.
Which of the Canton Police Department videos were you responsible for retrieving, if any?
I did not retrieve any of them.
So what I'm trying to ask is, and maybe I'm doing it inartfully, how did those Sally Port videos end up in the possession of the Commonwealth? What was the line of succession?
Detective Lieutenant Tully retrieved the Sally Port videos, I believe.
And do you know from whom he retrieved those Sally Port videos?
I believe it was the chief of police.
Okay, Chief Rafferty specifically gave him whatever videos were provided.
Correct, that's my understanding.
And then he provided those to you for your review.
Yes.
Yeah, it was something strange about the troopers in the Karen Reed case.
February 4th, 2022, your sister texted in relation to some sort of donation that she had given. I didn't give my name as I didn't want anyone to link me to Michael, meaning you, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach?
Okay, take that down.
Oh, wow.
Your Honor.
Yes.
give my name, as I didn't want anyone to link me.
So that's stricken, and that's what was.
Okay, y'all, they was unable to reach a verdict, so it's gonna be a retrial. Okay, it's gonna be another trial that y'all got to sit into. So you sometimes you have to pray that you get this, get some good jurors out there. Okay, so let's listen to this.
Her police officer boyfriend with her SUV and leaving him on the ground to die during a snowstorm. She denies the allegations and claims she was framed by police. Let's bring in ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer. Brian, the jury said they can't reach a verdict, but the judge has told them to clear their heads and keep deliberating after lunch. So what comes next?
Yeah, so what comes next is that the jury, I think about now, should be coming back from lunch, and then we're going to get some form of an update in the next minutes to, I would say, hours. And if the jury is still in the same position of being in a deadlock, the judge will be requested by both the defense and maybe even the prosecution, as they already have been, to give what's called a Tui Rodriguez instruction. Most of the country might understand it to be an Allen charge, and that's a formal instruction to the jury that they need to continue their deliberation. And that's an important part, because if the jury comes back after that, then there's a potential for a hung jury, because the jury is ultimately...
Outside this courthouse in Canton, Massachusetts, supporters swarmed around Karen Reed, charged with murder in January 2022 death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. Reed has strenuously denied the allegations.
I did not kill John O'Keefe. I've never harmed a hair on John O'Keefe's head.
Her defense, bare-knuckled and bold, is making national headlines. Her lawyers alleging in court documents that a fellow police officer was involved in O'Keefe's death and colluded with other people in a cover-up. You're alleging that law enforcement officials in the state committed murder and that they're covering it up. Why would they want to be involved in this?
Because he's dead. I think things went too far. It was late. There was alcohol involved, but they're all family. And there's many of them involved.
After posting bail, Reed has spent much of the past 18 months in and out of court awaiting a trial date.
And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. It just feels like no one else wants it.
Prosecutors allege that Reed hit O'Keefe with her car after getting into an argument earlier in the day, leaving him to die in the middle of a snowstorm in January 2022. But Reed says she had no reason to harm her boyfriend.
I would call him the patron saint of Canton. He was just very selfless, frugal, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone that didn't care for John.
The couple first dated in their 20s and reconnected more than a decade later in the middle of a pandemic. So how did you meet up again?
He had reached out to me on Facebook. He said, "Hey, blast from the past, how's things?" And when I saw his profile picture was with several young children, and then it triggered my memory that his sister and his sister's husband had passed away, and he told me, "Yeah, I have the kids now." And I admired that. I thought that was amazing.
Soon, Reed says she became part of the family, often sleeping over at O'Keefe's house and helping take care of the kids.
He would go to work, and I would stay with his niece and nephew. All of the breaks that the kids had, we did something.
But their relationship also had its struggles. Reeve says O'Keefe had been relying more on her to take care of the kids and criticized some of the decisions she made with them.
We had an argument on New Year's Eve. We were away on vacation, and he became incoherently drunk. And I ended up ringing in the new year with his niece and nephew. John didn't come back to our room till after 3 a.m. So that was rough. I felt very much taken advantage of. He apologized profusely for what happened on New Year's Eve, and he said, "If you can't get over it, then you need to spend some time at yours. I can't keep apologizing. I don't want to keep rehashing this."
A few weeks later, they were invited to meet up with some friends at the Waterfall Bar in Canton, and there they ran into Brian Albert, a fellow Boston police officer who Reed says O'Keefe looked up to. Albert had led the city's gang unit before commanding the Fugitive Apprehension Team. It was the elite squad responsible for taking down some of the city's most dangerous criminals and featured in the 2013 TNT show Boston's Finest.
1 minute we're walking around, everything's fine, and then 1 minute it's not fine.
Both times I met Brian Albert, he seemed like the type of person that you'd be surprised he's out socially, because he doesn't seem like he ever wants to be there.
But at the bar, Reed says there was an invitation to continue hanging out at Albert's home.
I said,
the
So
Albert
he
house.
wanted her to be the
What
babysitter.
happens next is disputed.
So I pull at the foot of the driveway. It's snowing. John has no coat on. It's windy. So I drop him off. He goes up the driveway and approaches the side door. And as I see him approach the door, I look down at my phone.
Reed says after about 10 minutes of waiting in her car, she became irritated that O'Keefe still hadn't gotten in touch with her. And she drove back to his home where she continued calling him before, she says, she fell asleep around 1:30 in the morning. She then says she woke up before 5 a.m. He still wasn't home. She then started canvassing the neighborhood.
Just gonna drive around in the 2 square miles that we spent the preceding night.
After 20 minutes of unsuccessful searching, she called John's friend, Carrie Roberts, and Jennifer McCabe, Brian Albert's sister-in-law, who was also at his house the night before. The three women together now headed to Albert's home. How soon was it when you pulled in there that you saw John's body?
Immediately. And what struck me when I saw him was his mouth was open a little bit and his eyes were shut and he had spots of blood in different areas on his face.
O'Keefe.
I want to hear from you all what y'all think about what y'all have heard so far about this case. I kind of believe that she's not guilty. I really do. I believe the family is going against her due to the fact that he's a police officer. But allegedly, okay? What I say is allegedly, okay? This is for the educating my audience and to hear what they have to say about this case, okay? Now Karen Reed, the jury went back there a couple of times. The judge, made them come to reach a verdict, and so Karen Reed jury tells the judge they cannot reach an anonymous verdict. So she had to finally, after the second time of deliberation back in the room, when they was in deliberation, this is what the judge this is what Karen Reed judge read from what the jury said.
So, counsel, you're aware of our note from the jury.
A fourth day of waiting and frustration. The jury in the Karen Reed trial ordered back to deliberations after telling the judge they could not reach a verdict on whether she murdered her boyfriend.
I'd ask you to clear your heads, have lunch, and begin your deliberations again. Or continue your deliberations, all right? So I'm sending you back up.
Supporters of the free